Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Monday, and it's another excellent Monday, isn't it? The sun's out, Arsenal are top of the league, they won an absolute thriller yesterday at the Emirates 3-2 against Liverpool. If you haven't seen it yet, I did do my video from the game, bit of a review and player rating, so head over and have a look at that after this if you haven't seen it yet. But I just wanted to talk a little bit more about that game today, because let's face it, what's not to like about Arsenal beating Liverpool 3-2? It's been a long time coming, Arsenal getting it over Liverpool, and yeah, top of the league. Just the fun continues this season. It really does. So I want to talk about that in this video. Look into some of the stuff that was said by Mikel Arteta after the game, focus on a couple of players as well. But I'm going to start today's video on Gabriel Martinelli. How good was Gabriel Martinelli yesterday? How good has he been this season? Absolutely brilliant, electric, ripped Liverpool to shreds yesterday, scored one, made one. First player, I think, ever for Arsenal in the Premier League to score an assist against Liverpool in the same game. Just gets better and better and better. And we spoke to him yesterday in the mix zone after the game, went down, a few of us, and waited for the players. We got Martinelli, and we spoke to him about plenty of stuff, but we also asked him about his contract and about his future. And this is what he had to say about his Arsenal contract situation, which obviously his current deal runs out in under 2 years' time. So the summer of 2024 is when it runs out. And he said, of course I want to stay. We are talking. Let's see what's going to happen, but I want to stay. Of course, this is my best season here at Arsenal. I'm so happy for this moment. Yeah, you know, it wasn't just when he speaks to these players and you hear what they have to say. Sometimes it's sound bites, sometimes they're just saying anything really just to move on to the next question. But you can certainly tell when Martinelli talks just how much he's enjoying it at Arsenal. And when he says he wants to stay, he does want to stay, no doubt about that. So the contract talks are ongoing with Martinelli. They're going pretty well from what I hear. I don't think there's any fear from people that I speak to that there's going to be much of a problem when it comes to getting Martinelli to sign a new contract. Arsenal are not in that bad a situation when it comes to him. Yes, there's under 2 years left of his current deal, but they do have a 2-year option in that deal, so they could extend it to 2026. So they're not in any rush when it comes to Martinelli. There's no real worry there. The thing is, though, obviously he's not going to be on much money at the moment. He signed in 2019. He re-signed. He got a contract extension in 2019, pretty much straight after he signed originally. And you know, he was still a young kid then, still not a first-team regular by any means. So that he's not going to be on big money whatsoever. So you don't want to be just extending his current deal, taking that option and keeping him on the terms he's on. I mean, that would just be taking the mick out of him, basically. So that it is good that Arsenal have that option, just because it takes away the worry a little bit. But, you know, they know that they need to reward him with a proper new contract, give him the sort of money that he's worth now. And Mikel was asked about that in his press conference yesterday afterwards, and he said, "We don't." He was asked, you know, was his performance yesterday reason to give him a new contract? And he said, "We don't get dragged out about performances. Gabby doesn't have to show me whether he plays well or not today. What he deserves is clear. His hunger, his determination, his love for the game, and you don't know where he's going to reach. He's always asking and willing for more." So when he says there, what he deserves is clear, you know, what he deserves is a new contract on fresh terms, giving him the sort of money that his performances deserves. And I'm sure that is going to happen. Like I said, when you talk to people at Arsenal about it, there's no worry, no concern really about Martinelli. It's just a case of getting the deal done. And certainly when you heard from what Gabby had to say yesterday after the game, you can tell that he really wants to stay. He's loving life at Arsenal right now. Why not? He's playing every single week. I mean, he started every game this season, Gabriel Martinelli, no matter what competition. He's playing so well. I mean, he looks like an absolute superstar now. He was so good yesterday. You know, Liverpool had no answer for him down that left-hand side. And, well, it's been a few years now since Klopp called him the talent of the century. I think that was pretty much straight after he signed. Klopp called him the talent of the century. And, you know, it's been about 3 years since then. And he's certainly living up to that billion, because he's not a talent anymore. He's just a superstar now. He absolutely is. And he played so well yesterday. And he's kind of the epitome of what this Arsenal team is about. Just that work ethic, that hunger, that desire. It's what runs through this Arsenal team at the moment. And it's just great watching Martinelli at the moment. And hopefully, fingers crossed, that new deal will be announced sooner rather than later. And yeah, he'll be tied down to Arsenal for a long, long time, deservedly so. Okay, so on the match itself yesterday, I mean, it was a lot of fun, wasn't it? It was a classic Premier League encounter. It's going to be one of those games that you see on Sky Sports for a long, long time when they sort of do the short half-hour brief Premier League classic type matches. It just toed and froed, Arsenal in front, Liverpool level, Arsenal back in front, Liverpool level, and Arsenal get the winner. I mean, there's been lots of talk about decisions. Driving home last night, phone-ins on the radio were just full of Liverpool fans complaining about the referee. And, maybe they got a point. Maybe they certainly got the rough end of the stick when it comes to some of the decisions yesterday. On another day, it could have been a handball against Gabriel. On another day, it wouldn't have been a penalty that won the game that Saka stepped up to score yesterday. So I can understand why they're a little bit upset. But, I mean, let's face it, it happens to every single team. And I don't think... I think once the referee had given those decisions on the field, I don't think either were going to be overturned by VAR. Gabriel Jesus got there first for the penalty. He got booted by Thiago. Yes, it might not have been the worst kick in the world, but Jesus got there first and he got kicked. And so you can understand why the penalty was given. So it wasn't like they were absolute clangers by any means. But I just thought on the whole, Arsenal's performance, certainly in the second half, because Liverpool came into it after 1-0, after Arsenal went in front 1-0, fair play to Liverpool. I thought they responded really well in that first half and they deservedly got themselves level. But I thought Arsenal in the second half were absolutely exceptional. The goal before half-time by Saka was really important because it kind of sucked the wind out of Liverpool, I imagine, going into half-time, and it boosted Arsenal. But then having said that, Liverpool still came back and got the equaliser somewhat against the run of play because Arsenal had started that second half pretty well yesterday. But I just love this team, the way that they respond to things going against them. They've done it all season, and yesterday, twice being pegged back by Liverpool, and given the whole psychological scars of playing Liverpool recently and the results that have gone against Arsenal, they've been hammered home and away by Liverpool for years now, it feels like. So psychologically, that'll be in the back of their head. That would have been in the back of their heads. And the fact that they got themselves in front twice and were pegged back both times, they could have really let that get, into their heads and let them get down and let Liverpool get away with it. But they kept going, they kept pushing, and they deserved that winner by the end because, they were camped inside the Liverpool half in that second half. I thought Thomas Partey in midfield was absolutely brilliant in that second half. Struggled a bit in the first half. Him and Xhaka did. I thought Thiago was dominating, certainly in that middle part of the first half. But second half, Arsenal were great. Partey was fantastic. Saka was excellent. Martinelli was brilliant. Jesus didn't stop working. Tomiyasu was just brilliant. So many good performances across that pitch yesterday. You can understand why Mikel, speaking in his press conference afterwards, you could just see the pride in his eyes, really, about how Arsenal performed and the way the players bounced back. And I asked Mikel that about in the press conference afterwards yesterday. It wasn't just the win, but the manner of it, the way that his team sort of bounced back from the disappointments of conceded and sort of got over the psychological scars of playing Liverpool in the past. And you could see in his response and the way he said about the team how happy he was and how he knew important that result was going forward. And again, speaking of Martinelli in the mix zone, he said everyone was so happy in the change room yesterday. And there is just a real belief about the place. You can see it, you can sense it, and the atmosphere is as good as I've ever seen it. And I've said it so many times on these videos. And if you haven't managed to get to the Emirates at the moment and you are here and it is possible to get there, I urge you to do it because it is a fantastic place to watch football right now. The atmosphere is brilliant, the team's great, football's great, goals are going in. It's just a brilliant place to watch football. And so, and I think back to just a few years ago before I was in the press box and when I was sitting in my usual seat with my dad, and it was towards the end of Wenger, and it was such a miserable place to watch football. It was almost like you were turning up just for the sake of it because it was Arsenal, and obviously you felt duty bound to turn up, but there was no fun in the stadium. There was no atmosphere. Everyone was fighting amongst themselves. You had the Wenger ins, the Wenger outs, and it was just a pretty miserable place to watch football. But now it is the polar opposite. Everyone you speak to, all my mates who go to the games, and I speak to them who still sit in the stands, tell me the same thing about just how much they're enjoying it right now, and you can sense it. And Arsenal are benefiting from that. There's no doubt they're benefiting from that. The crowd played such a big part in that win yesterday, just as they have done all the games this season. And yeah, it's just a fun place to be. I just wanted to talk about a couple of players now, Tomiyasu and Ben White, because frankly I think they deserve it. Both were so good last night. I mean, the Tomiyasu decision could have gone either way. It was a massive call by Mikel Arteta. Playing a right back, at left back, choosing him over Kieran Tierney, who was fit and was left on the bench. It was opening himself up to huge criticism. If it had gone wrong, he would have got hammered, no doubt. about it. I mean, I was sitting in the press room when the team news came out, and I was pretty stunned by it. And I was talking to a few people in the press room who are probably got more tactical expertise than me. Kai Kanak, the Arsenal correspondent at Football London, was one of them. James Benge at CBS as well. If you don't follow them, then you should. Both excellent reporters. And they were sort of talking me through the tactical reasons potentially behind why Mikel Arteta did it. And I could understand what they were saying. And they did swing me round a little bit before the game. But still, I just had this nagging thought in my head that it was just such a real kick in the teeth for Kieran Tierney. Which, to be fair, it probably was. Well, it was. No doubt it must have been. But then they did kind of swing me around. I can understand potentially why he did it, putting the right-footed player up against Salah, who's caused Arsenal so many problems in recent times, who obviously loves to cut inside on his left foot. And if you got Tomiyasu there, he could negate that. He's obviously a very good one-on-one defender. Also, the fact he's right-footed means he can sort of move into the central areas like Zinchenko likes to do, and almost play more as the inverted fullback rather than just the out-and-out left back that Kieran Tierney is. So they did kind of win me round a little bit before the game. But like I said, I still had that nagging doubt about Kieran Tierney. But I mean, everything that Mikel Arteta would have asked for from Tomiyasu before the game, he delivered. It was such a good performance from him. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, I think Salah had one shot when he cut inside him once and dragged the shot well wide in the first half. Other than that, he didn't get a kick. I mean, he got hooked after about 60-odd minutes, 65 minutes, whatever it was, by Jurgen Klopp. And that's saying something. I mean, that is just a huge pat on the back for Tomiyasu, the fact that Jurgen Klopp has dragged Salah off when the score was still at 2-2, because he just knew he was getting no joy out of him. And fair play to Tomiyasu, who's had to bide his time this season. Obviously not had any real starts apart from in the Europa League because of the form of Zinchenko, and Tierney's been called in ahead of him. So this was a big call by Arteta, throwing him straight in against Liverpool. And it was just a fabulous performance, and he deserves such a lot of credit. He's such a good professional, Tomiyasu. Really is. And Ben White on the other side as well. I mean, just another brilliant performance from Ben White, who has just got something about him. Ben White, I know you can probably rile up other teams, which is good. You want that in your team. You want a player like that. He certainly annoys other supporters. You saw him after the Tottenham game when he got substituted, walking past the Tottenham fans, giving it all the 3-1. Stuff like that's going to endear the Arsenal fans, obviously, but it's just that sort of character, that personality, it's important. You want a couple of players like that in your team, and it's not just about that, it's about his quality as well. He's been asked to play at right back, and he just looks absolutely at home at right back. He didn't stop bombing up and down that flank all game. It's not just that he's sitting there basically being a centre-back playing right back. He's playing a right back role really well. He's getting forward, he's getting on the overlap, he's getting to the touchline. And he's just been excellent this season. He really has. And I thought those two yesterday, the two fullbacks, were really, really good and were so important in that Arsenal win. And they both deserved an awful lot of credit for that. Okay, before I go, just a bit of news on what happened towards the end of the game yesterday. The FA are looking into an incident that took place at the end of the game, or near the end of the game, between the players on the field. Now, you probably saw Michael Oliver come over to the managers right at the end. It was just after, it was just as we were going into injury time, and Jesus was getting treatment on the floor. He'd gone down after there was a sort of collision, wasn't there? It was Van Dijk, Alisson and Jesus, and Jesus went down to the floor, and then you saw Michael Oliver came over to the managers on the touchline. He spoke to both of them, and then he spoke to the fourth official, took some stuff down, and basically someone's alleged to have said something to another player on the pitch, and that's what Michael Oliver was making the managers aware of that. He made the fourth official aware of that, and the FA are now looking into the incident. A spokesman did put out a statement from the FA, said, "We are aware of an incident that took place during the match between Arsenal and Liverpool. We're in dialogue with the match officials and will review the details of the incident." There's not much more I can say about it until that investigation takes place. And anything, if something does, if something does materialise, someone is charged, then obviously there's more to say. But at the moment, that's what we can say, is that the FA are looking into what happened in that sort of incident towards the end of the game, where you saw the sort of tempers flare and players clearly not happy about something that had gone on. So if there is more to bring you on that, then I will, as the situation sort of progresses. So that's the latest when it comes to that possible FA investigation. All right, that's it from me. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. I'm sure you will. Watch the highlights. I've done it a few times. And yeah, get ready for Thursday night. Arsenal back in Europa League, heading to Norway to play Bodø Glimt, third game of the Europa League group stage campaign. Have a good one, everyone. Speak to you soon.